Okay, so let's start part 1-3, and we're going to talk about some simple SQL database nomenclature. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to define databases, what a database table is, what a record or row is, fields, query, and users. Okay, so and what we're going to do is we're going to use a visual example of a set of data. So here I have a simple spreadsheet, and databases actually have a lot in common to a spreadsheet. Okay, so in spreadsheet, these are called columns. Okay, we have a name column, gender column, level column. These are called rows. All right, these are called individual cells, and these are called sheets. These are different sheets. Okay. Now, and here we have a repository of data. Now, SQL is very similar, but we're going to take these common spreadsheet names, we're going to switch them around. Now, an SQL database, if you look in it, it may look something exactly like this. Okay, you know, what's the difference between a spreadsheet, which is kind of repository of data, and database, which is kind of a whole bunch of data as well. But let's talk about now. A database is this whole file, okay, including these I'm going to call these tables now. Okay, this is one database. Okay, the database includes related tables, and within one single SQL, okay, within one single SQL installation on a server, I could have many different databases, almost as many as I want, limited by the amount of memory I have. Okay, so if you were to think of a spreadsheet, each spreadsheet is like a database, and each spreadsheet can have multiple sheets or tables in the, and so on one SQL installation, I can have many different databases. Okay, so that's what a database is. Okay, a database includes are basically, if you want to think of it, a database, this would be one database. This repository of data, of information, of stuff would be one single database. Okay. Now, inside of that database, the data is organized into tables. Okay. So what you're looking at here, okay, is this. What you're looking at here is this is a database table. All right. And so what we have in this database file, or in this database, we have 3 different tables. Okay, and this table is called user data. So a database contains tables. Just to repeat myself a little bit, one installation of SQL can have as many databases as your memory and the performance of the server can handle, and then within each database can have one table or many different tables. Okay, and of course the tables have data. All right, so how's that data organized? Well, the next one is records or rows. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm going to call it just records, because rows is a spreadsheet term. Okay, so we have records. So inside the database, we have at least one table or many tables, and within the table we have records. So a record is, this is a record, that's another record, that's another record, that's another record. It's really that simple. Okay, so the rows of a spreadsheet are records in a database. Moving on, fields. What we normally call columns in spreadsheets, in database we call these ones fields. Okay, so this field is the name, this field is the gender, okay, this field is the level, this field is the state, and we could split the name field up. We could have a first name field, we could have a last name field, we could have a middle initial field, and whatnot. Okay, those are very common fields. Password field, date, and what have you. Okay, so those are fields. So within the database, we get within one database we could have at least one or many tables, we could have a bunch of records, and each record is organized into fields. All right, so records, record, record, and these are the different fields within each record. And now the query, we already talked about. Query is when the programmer, okay, creates a question. A programmer wants to extract a certain information from this repository of data. So what the programmer does is, using the SQL language, okay, constructs a query, and that query gets sent to SQL. So in this command, in this PHP command, what you're doing is you're sending this query, and you're asking, and you're sending it to SQL, and you're asking SQL to extract from this data, okay, the query that you ask to send. So in this case here, all right, here's my set of data, and I could query it. I could ask it to fetch certain information, whatever I want to fetch out of it. Okay, and oftentimes the speed in which SQL does it, okay, is a big factor in choosing that SQL program. So speed is of the essence. If you have a million people, if you have millions of people trying to access that database at the same time, you want that data access to be super quick, faster than fast, lightning quick, right? And well, which technology will give you the fastest access time? And not only will which technology give you the fastest access time, how can your database be organized so that it's easy for the SQL program to retrieve that data? So there's so people study, data structures in university to learn how to do this. It's actually it's called normalizing data, how you organize it. All right, and that is a huge field in its own. I personally am just kind of touching the surface of it. Anyways, and then database users. Well, you know what? I'm actually gonna save this one for later. Okay, so there you have it. There is some names, nomenclature on databases and SQL. Just the important ones that you need to know. So make sure you are quite familiar with these terms, as I'll be using them interchangeably, for the rest of these tutorials. So once again, I'll end off with my diagram. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video, and we'll move on to something a little more hands-on. Now that you had an introduction to the world of databases in SQL. Talk to you later.